Welcome back to another episode of Let Him Cook. As per usual, give me just a moment to make sure that all of my streaming software is working correctly. Things have been just a little bit temperamental the last couple of streams, and I want to make sure that the beginning is off to a nice smooth start. All right, we're live on Instagram. And I don't know about YouTube. So tonight, while I get this fixed up tonight, I'm making a really simple kind of taco bowl. It's not really a taco salad. It's not really a bibimbap bowl. It's kind of a fusion of the two. And when I say it's really simple, it's really simple. This might be a shorter stream than usual, but we're also going to keep going back. We started this thing last time where we're going back and looking at old music videos of mine, old lyric videos, kind of diving into some history and some lore. So we're going to keep doing that tonight with the music video from the screen. Give me just a second to confirm that everything is working as it's supposed to be on YouTube and Instagram. It looks like it is. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're also going to be making some boba tea tonight, which I know you've seen me do 100 times before. But the thing I'm experimenting with right now is doing it more like in bulk. So typically what I've done is just use my coffee maker and, get enough hot water to fill up one of these. Normally that's 2 of my tall glasses. But this time I'm going to make it in a pot and see if I can make enough for 4 or 5 full glasses. What's up, Callista? What's up, Nathan? Thanks for jumping in. We're going to see if we can make enough just in a pot of hot water to not have to go through multiples of these and really shorten the process. I already defrosted my meat, so the first thing we're going to do tonight is, you already know what the deal is, I'm going to get started making some rice and the rice cooker, and then we'll get to the more exciting part, which is putting the taco meat together and getting our vegetables done. This particular bowl is a really sneaky way that I get myself to eat more vegetables. How's everybody surviving the freeze? I know that pretty much all over the United States, through most of the place, you've been getting, back home in Cincinnati, my family has gotten a lot of snow, like a lot. We're talking 1.5 feet. A lot of snow. Here in Texas and Fort Worth, it's just kind of been, there's snow on the ground, but it's mostly been layers of ice. In fact, it looked like a nice layer of fresh powder, but when I went out to walk around in my apartment complex earlier, I didn't even make footprints. It's 2 inches of snow and ice, and I didn't even make footprints. What's up, Joe? What's up, John? Thanks for jumping into the chat. Yeah, Nathan, tell me about the situation in Ohio, because I've only seen the pictures that my family have sent me. But like I was saying here, I could walk around earlier. I didn't even make a dent in it. Didn't leave any footprints. Excuse me, I'm going to be drinking this protein shake for the beginning of the stream tonight because I just got back from the gym. And I'm trying to be consistent about gains. Here's the thing. I was in the best shape of my life about 2.5 years ago when I had been training for my black belt test. At our dojo back home, shout out to Tama in Dayton, Ohio, Taninko Academy of Martial Arts. They don't just hand out black belts. This is a dojo that teaches Kempo, Muay Thai, Aikijitsu, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you name it. It's kind of going on there. So when I tested for my black belt in Kempo, there was a very real possibility of failure. So I was having to train every day because the test starts with 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 jumping jacks. The test can take 3 to 5 hours. All kinds of stuff you have to do, everything from judo throws to forms to breaking to knife and self-defense to sparring sets to, at the end of the test, you have to spar everyone who came to spar you. Everybody. Got to get through them all. And you don't have to win, because I could barely stay vertical at the end of that test. I kind of got my butt handed to me, but at that point you're so gassed. But anyway, when I was training for it, and I'm out of rice. Put that on the shopping list. When I was training for it, I would hotbox myself in the garage. It was kind of in the late spring, early summer. And I trained for about 3 or 4 months pretty consistently, like really hard. And I would just open the garage door enough that there was some oxygen coming in. But otherwise, I left it mostly closed so that it was hot in there. And I would do my forms in the garage and just sweat it out, because I knew I needed to kind of get the endurance up. And I was doing my at least 100 push-ups every day, usually more like 120. I was just in the best shape. After that, I came here to Texas, went to Bible school, and sat a lot. So I'm trying to get back on that consistency grind, get those gains going again. Nathan says, lots of snow. Our hometown school has been closed for a week and it's already closed tomorrow. I've been working from home since Thursday, avoiding the elements like crazy. I hear that, man. So I work remote. My day job, when I'm not doing cool things like being a musician and a producer, I work remotely for a company, and that means I don't really get snow days, but it also means I get to work remote all the time, so no complaints. Glad you're staying warm, though. See, here in Texas, it's a little bit funny to me, because here, while their winter doesn't last very long, it still gets down to like the teens. And every year that I've been here, we've had a week like this, where a bunch of snow and freezing temperatures have come through, and they start giving us all of these warnings about drip your faucets and the electricity might go out. And I'm like, dude, this happens every year. Why do you always act like it's a surprise? Why don't you just insulate your pipes? I realize that this isn't Ohio, it's not the Northeast, but it does still happen every year from my experience. The other night, my power went out. Well, a few days ago, the water was cut off to this building, and that actually had nothing to do with the weather, so I didn't have water for a day. Thankfully, I have a whole store of probably 12 gallons in my cabinet of just water that I have saved up over the years. I have in some jugs down there. But then we lost power the other night. It was after dark, but it was only for about 45 minutes, thankfully. And I am honestly really thankful for that. Because when you lose power, like you lose your heat, you lose light. So I'm just in the pitch black with my little lantern, and I'm ready. Like, I stocked up on some things. I love how you're having tacos, something on Taco Tuesday. That's how it's done. That was a coincidence, but I'll take it. Okay, so we've got our rice going over here. The taco salad itself is not going to take very long to put together. You've seen me make this before. It's kind of a way that I get myself to eat more vegetables. And right now I have some broccoli. Over to the side, I have spinach, I have some carrots. So while the rice is going, we're gonna do this tea thing, and we're gonna see if I can brew some tea in bulk. I'm gonna do a little bit of water math here, and then here in a little while, we'll check out the music video from an older music video of mine from a song called The Screen. It was the second music video I ever put out, and really the biggest thing I wanted in this one was lasers. So we'll check that out here soon. Here's the deal. What I need to find out, usually when I make 4, 5, 6 glasses of tea and put them in the fridge, I do 2 of these. I don't know how much this holds. See, it has measurements on here. It just says 5. Is that 5 cups? One would think so. So we need to test that. If it is 5 cups, then what I need to do is boil 10 cups on the stove with 3 or 4 tea bags, and then we should be able to just dole it out in a way more efficient way. So that's the science we're doing tonight. So here's the real question. I have a measuring cup that holds 2 cups. So let's just do it. Let's do the math. So if I fill this up to 2 cups. Abby says, so this is where everyone has been. I've been alone on Instagram. Well, I want some people to be on Instagram. I want some people to be on YouTube, but you hang out wherever you can have a conversation in the chat. Doesn't matter to me. All right, so here's what we need to know. If I have 2 cups here, is that going to get that to the 2 line in here? My suspicion is no. My suspicion is it's going to be higher than that. So is what is marked as 1 on here actually a half of a cup? So is this measuring coffee cups and not real cups? Here we go. I don't like this. Okay, bet I'll watch on both. You don't have to pad my ratings, but I appreciate it. So here's what I don't like. I just put 2 cups. 16 ounces, 2 cups into this. Do you see where this is? Do you see where the line is? It's on the 3. It's on the 3. So 2 cups goes to the 3 line on this. What are those lines even there for? It's going to mess up all my measurements. Okay, so essentially what this means is I can't use this as a standard of measurement. I've got to use this inconsistent thing as a standard of measurement. Tell you what, dude. Okay, all right, fine. Well, I'll do that. So let's get a pot. I'm going to start doling out this water, and in the meantime, let's talk music videos while I emotionally cope with what I just discovered. I'm going to show you guys my music video from back in the day, from one of the first pop singles that I put out called The Screen. Now, this was on an EP called The Spark, which was really a mismatch of all the types of music I'm involved with. There's some hard rock stuff on there, and there's some pop stuff on there. All good songs, all great material. The mixes and the production aren't as good because I was still just learning, but still good stuff. But this song, The Screen, was one of the most kind of electronic pop songs that I had dared venture into at the time. And for the music video, I wanted fog and lasers. So that's what I got. Let me play this for you while I get this water situation figured out.
Scan the pages over and over. The war that rages in this city souls. I looked up and I found that no one's looking. They're waiting for an answer on the screen. When the lights leave the skies and they're hiding in the mirror. When the sights need your eyes to be seen. When the future is bright, but it's starving for attention. When they're smart, but not wise, it comes clean out on my screen. You ever try to stop it? Transmit, reverse, and crop it. Someone will try to top it, but that's the way that it goes. We never had such power to change and drown the hour, enlighten or deflower, but that's the way it goes. We need a world to frame it and someone to reclaim it. It don't take much to stain it, but that's the choice that you make. It takes a soul that's breathing to make it worth your reading. Transmit a life worth leading. Horizons are at stake.
Okay, so that is the music video from the song The Screen from way back in the day. We went to, I went to Guitar Center and rented those lasers. And I think the fog machine too, or maybe the fog machine was something that my church had at the time. I know that, I was being asked the other day what the lyrics of that song are about. And you have to remember, my first EP, The Spark, came out in like 2012, all right? And even at that time, that song was largely about social media, which, is different today than it was then, but both the benefits and the problems with it are still pretty much the same. So lyrically, that song is really dense. That's a really songwriter-y song. That's a really kind of poetic song. It's not the most accessible lyrically, but I would encourage you to read it because I had a lot to say in there on purpose. But the basic idea was just that we live in a time where everybody has the opportunity to have an audience now. Like, you're watching me cook right now. We're having deep conversations. We're talking about music, but you're just watching me cook in my apartment. Everybody has the opportunity to have an audience now. And so the question is, what do you do with that audience? Because there's kind of some responsibility that comes with that, right? The term influencer wasn't even a term, I don't think, when I wrote that song. But think about what that word means. You have the ability to very easily influence people, which is kind of a big deal. And I remember growing up, even going to the shows of different bands, maybe bands that my friends were in, and thinking about just how much responsibility it is to have a microphone in your hand and have people following you and listening to what you have to say. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody's ever going to do it perfectly, okay? I'm not saying I'm going to do it perfectly. So don't expect me to be perfect. And if I ever do or say something that you don't agree with, or you have a conviction against or about, remember, I'm not Jesus. I endeavor to represent him in the earth, but I'm his hands and feet. But nobody is going to do it perfectly. So don't put all your hopes in people. So I was thinking about that, though, still about the responsibility involved in just having the sort of influence that we can so easily come by now. And that's really, if you keep that in mind, oh, there's a string in my tea. If you keep that in mind, that's largely what those lyrics are about. The shoot was really cool. We just kind of did it in a little corner at my church back home. Put up some black blankets. And then that B-roll footage of the other characters in the video, I just shot that. And then the camera operator for the performance shots on me was just Pete, my guitarist, who also played an extra character in there. We just had the camera on a slider sitting on top of the piano, just going back and forth, and he's racking focus. Simple, but you get enough coverage, you can still make a cool video. So those of you who are here in DFW, how have you been spending the freeze? I've just been here, going to the gym, trying to be as productive as I can, working, getting ready for some upcoming, some other new music releases. I've got 3 tea bags in here. Oh, I need to tell you, I discovered something. So I was really frustrated earlier about the amount of water not matching, but I have also learned that it is almost exactly 1.5 liters. It's 1.5 liters that makes about 4 or 5 cups. And when I say cups, I don't mean like the traditional measurement of cups. I mean the particular boba cups that I use. That's really good because there's a 1.5 liter mark in my pot. So I can kind of be on autopilot about it. I was going to use that smaller pot, but it doesn't have a pouring lip on it. So it was going to be really hard to pour the tea into glasses. But this larger pot that I have, you can see it's got these kind of a lip on the edge of the pan. So I should be able to pour it into the glasses pretty easily. I've got 3 green tea bags in there right now. That color looks about right, so I don't know if I'm going to need a 4th. But I'm just sort of boiling this water and letting them steep. And this, I think, is going to be a much more efficient way of making our boba tea. I still got my, my ingredients up here, but I think I should be able to just knock out a bunch of them all at once this way. I would go ahead and start on the ground beef, but talking to you and doing one cooking task at a time is kind of enough multitasking for me right now, so we take it one step at a time. All right. Abby says, I went to work and did arm day several days in a row because I wanted to use my new dumbbells, and now I'm suffering the consequences. So, good. One of the things that I've always appreciated is when I can actually, not that I want the pain of being sore, but if I can feel soreness in the specific parts that I work, that tells me I targeted right. It makes me feel like I accomplished something. You can use those dumbbells though if you want to do some like weighted lunges or weighted squats. Just hold them at your side, do those squats, do those lunges. So you don't have to just use them for arm day, but I'm sure you already know that. And I don't think she would mind me mentioning her name on stream. You know, you gotta, you know who has some serious lady guns, and this is no surprise to anyone who knows her or knows her family in general. But Zalika Hart, have you seen her arms? Like, her delts inspire me. Oh my goodness. That lady is not to be messed with. I think I might need to add a little bit, because this is boiling and it's reducing. I think I need to add a little bit more water to it to stretch it out. And then we should be good to go here shortly. I love Zalika too. I've run into Zalika at the gym when I was still going to the same gym where she goes, when I still had access to it, and she would never step up and tell you how to do what you're doing or whatever, even though she probably could. She's always super friendly. And I would see Gabe and Jonathan sometimes there too, and Matt. The thing about the gym at my apartment complex that really bums me out is I would love if there was a punching bag in there. If I could get a big, long, heavy bag and start doing some Muay Thai, start getting some kicks in again, you know? You got to have something to kick in order to really practice that. You can kick in the air all day long, and that trains balance and everything, but there's nothing... It's never the same as when you have something to return, to put that force into. Okay, I think it's time. To dole out this tea. Here we go. Calista, I didn't know you worked with Zalika. That's cool. All right, let's break out these glasses. This should be about, I don't know, 4 to 6 glasses worth. Depends on the size of the glass. Well, let me pause. Instead of using these glasses, I have some jars that I put aside. I save a lot of glass jars for this exact thing. Old pickle jars or Alfredo sauce jars, or if I get some apricot preserves and it comes in a nice glass jar, I'll keep that. So we got 5 of these. Let's see how this goes. What's up, Sierra? Thanks for joining the stream. You missed it. We just did a throwback. We watched an old music video of mine. Oh man, see, that lip isn't pouring super cleanly. I gotta be really careful. I gotta do this slowly. This is so approximate because they don't all hold the same thing. Gotta be careful because my computer is right next to this too. I'm kind of filling up all of these about halfway right now. I feel like I could have done more. So I went to 1.5 liters this time. I think next time I can probably go to 2 or 2.5. Yeah, because that's really just going to net me about 4 glasses, I think. We'll get our all right, we'll get our stuff put in there next, but that's cool. I think that's a much better way for me to start doing the boba, because I've had friends that wanted to come over. They're like, "Will you make boba for everybody?" And I'm like, I don't know how to make it in large amounts. So if I can kind of get through this process, then yes, like people can come over and I can be like, "And you get a boba tea, and you get a boba tea." Well, it looks like we have some new people dropping into the chat right now. Zalika taught you how to properly do pull-ups. That's good. I mean, there's different ways, right? You got wide grip overhand. You got more of a shallow grip underhand. Kind of depends on if you're trying to target your lats or if you're trying to target more of like the inner part of your bicep. But you already know that because you worked with the best, right? So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Since we're doing this throwback music video thing and we had a few new people jump into the stream just now, I'm going to play, I'm making a passion fruit green tea. Which I'll add boba to later. And then I'm also going to be making a kind of a taco salad bibimbap fusion bowl. Very, very simple. But that's what's coming up next. But since we got some new people jumping into the stream, I'm going to go ahead and play, I'm going to play the new music video for you. The music video for Through the Night that just came out a few weeks ago. And really exciting news. I just now finalized the date for 2 more new song releases in the coming months. Can't say a lot right now, but maybe we'll do like an instrumental, part of an instrumental leak on stream next week or sometime in the future. But while I get the ingredients kind of lined up here, well, no, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Since we've got some new people in here, we can kind of show you the recipe here. I have this Da Vinci passion fruit syrup and this passion fruit puree from T-Zone, which is... This is really the secret weapon. This stuff is pretty standard. You see it all the time. Looks like I need to buy some more here too. But my strategy with this is I put a tablespoon, usually 2 tablespoons of the puree and 1 tablespoon of the syrup into each of my large glasses and stir it in. And then we'll put them in the refrigerator, let them cool down, and by later tonight, at least one of these should be good to go. So I'm going to do that. While I do that, I'm going to show you the newest music video. I know a lot of you have already seen it. A lot of you that are in the chat are in this music video. Thank you again. And then we'll show you that music video from the screen, this old one more time. So let me get this pulled up here on YouTube. Oh, I better put my last name in there. Through the Night. I'm just so stoked with how this came out. Puree looking like a secret move. Yeah, you know it. All right, I'm gonna get to this while you watch this newest music video from my new single, Through the Night. I gotta mute my mic too.
Finding
All right, we're back. So I don't need to go into the backstory and the behind the scenes of that particular video because I've done that several times over the last few live streams. So I'm not going to tell you stuff you already know, but thanks for checking it out. So our passion fruit green tea is done. I just put it in the refrigerator so it can cool down and it'll be good later. Looks like I need to order some more of this. Now we got to get down to our main thing tonight, our main course, which are these, I used to call this taco salad, and somebody kind of rebuked me about that because it isn't really. It's more of just like a taco meat, rice and vegetable bowl. So I guess that makes it maybe a type of like fusion bibimbap or something. But it's super simple, super easy. I'm gonna grab my skillet here. Let's make sure you can see that. You can. I already defrosted my meat before the stream started, and this meat is already cooked. When I get my ground beef, I cook it up, I drain the fat out of it, and I put it in freezer bags and freeze it in 1 pound increments so I can just break it out and not have to worry about starting from scratch when I'm working later on. So we're just gonna throw our cooked ground beef into a skillet, get some heat going, and I'm going to add some water to this and some taco seasoning and just kind of mix it together. Usually I don't even use the whole packet of taco seasoning. I don't feel like it needs all of it. I'll use about half and then just save the rest for the next time. I don't need all of that sodium all at once, right? Add a little bit of water to this guy. So some of you may have seen that I kind of stirred things up on YouTube this past week with some people. And let me start off by saying that that was not my goal, but I knew it was going to happen. Excuse me, I got to move some things around so that I can put the tripod where you guys can see. Okay, that was not my goal, but I knew it was going to happen. So I posted a reel, but I posted a series of reels talking about some stuff that people took some different theological angles on. But I think I've done a really good job of defending it. Callista says, what all have you been up to since the snow lockdown, Sam? Well, the other day, some friends from the neighborhood on Saturday, I thought I wasn't going to see a soul all weekend. But they came to my door, they were walking around, and I ended up spending most of my Saturday with some friends at their apartment. And everybody was just cooking. So I made my chickpea cucumber salad that you guys have seen me made on stream before. Another guy made some chili. One of the girls made like a baked ravioli. So not how I expected that day going. I thought I was just going to be inside alone all day. That's how I spent Saturday. Sunday, Monday, and today I've just been working. Working here from the apartment for my job, on some music related stuff, setting up those releases I told you guys about, and reading my Bible, praying, spending time with Jesus, and going to the gym. It's kind of it. When I have times like this where it's hermit time, I just kind of put my head down into productivity mode, and I don't say that to flex or try to be prideful about it. It just genuinely is basically what happens. I just kind of get to it, you know, to the best of my ability. I've had some other things to do, and I relaxed. I watched a couple movies over the weekend, jumped into a Discord call, long distance with my mom, and we watched some movies together. So I've taken some time to relax too. It's not like I just worked all the time, hustle. No, but with the lack of having to go places and do things, it's like 70% productivity, 30% chill time, you know. But this past week, I posted some reels that some people had some disagreements with. And some of you have seen them already. They're on the YouTube channel. They're on the Instagram channel. But they're all backed up with scripture. I was talking about how you can never find a place in the New Testament where Jesus denies healing to anybody who comes to him for it and asks. And since Jesus says, I never do anything unless I see the Father do it, Jesus shows us the perfect will of God. That shows us that it's God's will for us to always walk in health. Now here's what I did not say. Here's what I did not say. I did not say, if you're dealing with a physical issue, you should feel bad. I didn't say, it's because you've sinned. It's because of something you did. I didn't say those things. So that's point number one. Point number two is I didn't say that you can't find examples in Scripture, even in the New Testament, of people dealing with sickness. I'll tell you guys, without going into details, I have dealt with some stuff, some physical stuff in my life that was hard, that was over a long period of time, a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But what I don't do and what I don't say is that it came from God, or that's what God wanted. And we can evidence that through, again, go through the Gospels. You'll never, ever find Jesus denying it to anybody. But some people asked some really pointed questions about that. And they were like, well, dude, I actually had one guy be pretty mean to me in the comments. And like, I won't even dignify it with saying what he said. I appreciated his passion because he felt that he was defending the faith and hit me with a zinger. But like, dude, I've been around the block enough times that I already knew this was coming. So whatever. But people are like, well, because here's the thing. I've heard people say, sometimes people don't experience, because God wants them to learn something, but you cannot, there's no time especially in the New Testament, Jesus never has a conversation with the disciples saying, well, I didn't heal you because you're going to be a witness to my glory in a special way. Never happened. It never happened. You will not find it. You will not find someone ever coming to Jesus and them asking him for healing and him being like, nah, you need to learn something. You need to deal with this a little longer. You can find a lot of instances in which it says Jesus healed them all. Even people who didn't deserve it, even people who were committing adultery, even people who were probably on drugs or in addictions of different kinds, he still healed them. But then people say, well, what about Lazarus? Well, that was a good question, because it does. Like, you read John chapter 11, and it kind of seems like Jesus just kind of lets him suffer so that he can resurrect him later and glorify God. But it forced me to dive into some research, right? What I found was that in the case of Lazarus was already dead by the time the messengers even reached Jesus. It says when Jesus got to where Lazarus was buried, he had been dead for 4 days. If you trace that back, and it was a day's journey from where Jesus was. So it took the messengers a day to get to Jesus. Then he stayed where he was for 2 more days. And then it took a day for Jesus to get where Lazarus was located. That means that Lazarus died on the first day, on the day that the messengers were still on their way to get to Jesus. Jesus probably already knew that. So if Lazarus was already dead, there was no hurry. There was no rush for him to get there. The second thing is, I've heard some people talk about this before. There was a tradition, a Jewish tradition among the Midrashic Jews, that the spirit of a person hovers around the grave for around 3 days after they die. There are some sections of them that believe that that's actually more like 7 days. So you have some groups that believe 3, some groups that believe 7. But the point is, there is a group of them that believe within 3 days there's a possibility of resurrection. But once you hit that 4th day, they're gone. They're out of here. So by Jesus raising Lazarus on the 4th day after he was dead, he went beyond what they thought was possible. And again, he didn't just force Lazarus to suffer, because homeboy was already dead by the time the messengers even reached Jesus. And then people have asked, I had people like, well, what about Paul's thorn in the flesh? Paul talks about, I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 12. He says, there was a thorn in the flesh sent to me, a messenger of Satan, and I besought the Lord 3 times about it, and that he would remove it from me. And the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you. Well, when there's a really good book. It's an old book. It's by a guy by the name of F.F. Bosworth. I've got it sitting right here. The cover looks newer because it's a reprint, but the book itself book itself is pretty old. Like the first printing was way back in the day. It's called Christ the Healer. And in chapter 6 of this book, he totally takes that apart, talking about biblical idiom, talking about the original languages. And here's basically what he says. He says, that figure of speech, a thorn in the flesh, is used throughout the Bible in the Old Testament and New Testament, but it is never used to refer to a physical ailment, a sickness, a malady of any kind. It's always used to refer to a person or an entity. So it's actually used, it's like in the book of Numbers, it's in the book of Samuel, it's in, I think maybe the book of Joshua. It's always used to refer to the enemies of Israel. And then in the New Testament, when Paul uses it, he says that this thorn in his flesh was a messenger of Satan. That word messenger is the word angelos, where we get the word angel. So what does that mean? And then some translations of the Bible actually said, they translate it as, I besought the Lord that he would remove him from me, not it. So pretty clear that Paul is talking about an evil spirit that's following him around and causing problems. Well, we can evidence that in Paul's life. Everywhere Paul went, yeah, great things happened, but he also ran into a lot of opposition from people. Like people hated him. The people that loved him, but the people that hated him to an unreasonable degree. So much so that they were starting riots, they were trying to kill him in the streets. Like it was bad. It was mob mentality. Well, what would inspire that? What would inspire that but an evil spirit? It's some like that kind of mass psychosis, you could call it. So what Paul is saying, and people are like, yeah, Sam, but the Lord told him no. No, he didn't. The Lord did not tell him no. The Lord told him, my grace is sufficient for you because my strength is made great in your weakness. So God is saying to Paul, Paul, on your own, you couldn't deal with this. You are too weak to deal with this on your own. But that word grace in the Greek is the word charis. It's where we get the word charismatic from when people talk about the gifts of the Spirit, but it also means favor with God, and favor even with people. And so what God said is, my favor, my grace, my charis is sufficient for you. What Paul is saying, what God is saying to Paul is not no. What God is saying is, I've already given you the answer to this. You don't need anything new from me to deal with it. You already have an empowerment from me to deal with it. In fact, elsewhere in Scripture, when we even see Jesus dealing with evil spirits, he doesn't say, oh God, remove the evil spirit. He speaks to it directly. He takes his authority. So in the case of Lazarus, it doesn't hold water. In the case of Paul's thorn in the flesh, it doesn't hold water. So then people say, well, what about how, Trophimus was left at Miletum and he was sick, and Paul talks about it in his letters. Well, first of all, those are not people that came directly to Jesus in the flesh asking for healing. Second of all, nobody said that the people didn't have to contend with anything. All I was saying was that it is God's perfect will for us to be in health. So did those people go through a process of healing? Yeah, like Paul left them in the city that they were in and they weren't feeling good at that time. So they didn't have an instant miracle, but miracles are instant. Healing sometimes takes place over time. And so it's like, well, Sam, what are you saying? But what if a believer dies with cancer? What if a believer dies with a terminal? Dude, I've known those people. I've known those people personally. I have dealt with things that sometimes took way longer than I wanted them to. But what I'm saying is that that's not God's best for us. That's all I'm saying. And when we at least know and can acknowledge that, then when we do contend with things, we can start at least at square one of saying, well, Lord, I know this isn't from you. I know this isn't what you want from me. So now I'm going to fight back against it instead of saying, well, maybe God wants me to have it. Because if that's your idea, you're not even going to fight it. You're not even going to try. And then if you go to the doctor trying to get out of it, well, then you're trying to get out of the will of God. You're being rebellious by going to the doctor and seeking medical help if you believe it came from God in the first place. The logic doesn't track. So one of the things that I really love is confronting and clearing up misconceptions. Because I think that these little misconceptions often hobble people in life in a way that takes the fight out of you before it even begins. And that I don't want. That I don't want in my own life, and I don't want to see it in the people around me. So when I say I knew it was going to stir up the comments section on YouTube, I knew it was. But dude, that's okay. I don't know everything. I don't have the answer for everything. But man, like there's a series, Keith Moore has a really good series called God's Will to Heal. It's hours and hours worth of content in which he takes apart pretty much every angle and every question and every counterpoint on this subject in a really thorough way. So that was my adventure on YouTube for the week. As soon as I posted that first reel, I was like, all right, here it comes. I know they're going to come at me in the comments, but I know they're going to come at me in the comments, but I was ready. You know, I cited this book, I cited scripture, I cited original languages, I cited exegesis based on other uses of the phrase. I cited the timeline of Lazarus. Like, I wanted to make sure I was ready before I went into this. But you've got to also like respond one reel at a time. You can't do it all at once. It's not long form stuff. And you have 3 minutes, right? You have a maximum of 3 minutes to make a point. Abby says, also from my research, Jesus was only asked if it was his will to heal once. That's right. It's in several of the gospel accounts, but I know for sure it's in the book of Luke. It's the man with leprosy. And Jesus said he was willing. Why would he withhold something he willingly gives? JL says, this cinematic lighting is so sick. Yeah, dude, I have one, I'm going to just show you guys. I have one key light over here. And then I have a little blue splash behind me. But that's enough. That's enough for me to be like, in a world, where are the other drugs going? Tell me, right? Like you get the one light in the dramatic shadow. Not bad for cooking with Sam, right? Abby says it's working better on Instagram for some people. I was alone on Instagram for a bit. Callista says Instagram glitches for me. Abby says, my dad would be proud of you for using your hermeneutical process. Well, thank you. I passed that class. No, it's important to me. It's important to me, man. I'm not saying that people who believe this haven't still died or haven't still suffered for long amounts of time. I know they have. I've been there. I've stood over the body and then been on stage 4 hours later. But that doesn't make it any less true. Like just because we still have things to learn, we're never going to get any farther if we don't at least know that step one, this is not God's will. Now let's find out how to contend with it. But again, if we just say, well, maybe it's God's will, we don't understand, then we'll never even at least start contending. We won't take up with him in a way that gives him the legal covenantal right to say, all right, let me partner with you on this. So I just think it's so important because it is life and death for some people. Okay, let's make a taco salad thing. So I've got my taco meat done over here and I have 5 minutes until my rice is done. Once the rice is done, we will be good to go. While we wait on this rice, let's, well, I was going to say let's prep some vegetables, but there's not a lot I need to do. My broccoli, you know what, we can cut some broccoli on our tiny cutting board. We can get that cut up and ready. I'm kind of at the bottom of my broccoli. That's a song title for you. I'm at the bottom of my broccoli. It's like the opening line to a punk track, right? That's it. That's all the broccoli I have left, guys. This will probably be a little bit of a shorter stream than usual because this is a very simple dish. Those are the kinds I like, though. People ask me, they've asked me recently, they're like, Sam, you must, I've seen your live stream. Do you like to cook? Well, I like the benefits that cooking affords me in that it saves me money. But I am going to be honest, I don't like the time that it takes. I also like being able to get good at recipes. There's something really gratifying about and slightly artistic about that. But again, I don't really love the time and the effort that it takes. And that's just me being honest, because I always feel like I could be using that time doing something else, something that feels more, I don't know, something that feels more universally important. So like if I could just order, if I had like a personal chef, or if I could like just order my food every night, I'd probably do it. But I'm gonna keep learning, because I like learning things though. Taco Tuesday is so Sam distracting myself from cooking tacos. Well, I can't go any further until the rice is done. And I'm not actually making tacos. I don't really buy taco shells. I have nothing against taco shells, but tortilla chips are a little bit more versatile. And so what I do is I crunch up a bunch of tortilla chips, which means when you know how when you get to the bottom of a bag of tortilla chips, you have all these little tiny crumblies, and they're edible. There's nothing wrong with them, but you can't. I mean, you can't scoop salsa with. You can. I mean, technically you can, but it's so microscopic it's not worth the effort. But they work great in a taco salad. Now again, this is not really truly a taco salad, but it is a sneaky way for me to get myself to eat more vegetables. And that's always a win. Okay, we got 2 minutes left on the rice. While that happens, make sure I'm gonna load my dishwasher just a little bit. Where's my scrubby? There it is. Welcome to the chat, Crunky Town. Good to hear from you. So, when do you guys think I should leak some more music on the stream? You think next week is too soon? So here's what I'm going to tell you. The next song that we have slated for release is slated for a March date. It's a Friday in March. That's already locked in. And then we've got another one coming. Okay, I'll tell you when the second one is. The second one is slated for Good Friday. So do you think next week is too soon to do another little leak? I just finished the artwork too. Maybe I'll piece out a little bit of that artwork. I don't think I'm ready to release the name of the song yet. That would seem a little premature, but I have a version of the artwork I have one version that has the song name on it, but I have another version that does not. So, here within the next couple of weeks, I could put the artwork out on the Instagram, could show it here on the stream without the name of the song. There we go. There's the alarm for our rice. That's the other drawback to cooking too, is it feels like there's this never-ending stream of dishes when you cook and eat at home a lot. Which is another chore. Look, I have feelings about chores. I had a whole conversation with someone recently about how I think American lawn care is kind of a scam. So you're telling me that in order to have a lawn, I also have to get a lawnmower and constantly be getting gas for it, and then spend hours a week out in the hot sun to maintain it and then weed it? Like, I have other things to do. Rice. All right. Got ourselves the remainder of my rice here. I'm gonna have to make a shopping list after this. I'm almost out of my passion fruit syrup, and I just ran out of long grain basmati rice. That's the bottom of my rice right there. I really appreciate that I'm using these microphones for the stream now, because it means I don't have to shout at my camera from across the room. I can practically whisper, and and you can still hear me. Jay Fitz says the dishes never end. I know, man. Here's the thing, like, I will have a day where I feel like I got so much done. I worked for my day job. I got music work done. I cooked something. Maybe I even vacuumed my carpets, right? And there's still dishes in the sink. Why are there dishes in the sink? Because I was responsible, and I cooked and I ate at home, and I didn't go out and spend money at a restaurant. And my reward for this is dishes in the sink. So then it's like, for how productive that day had been, if somebody were to come into my apartment right now, I look like the bad guy. I look like the irresponsible one. Why? Because there's dishes in the sink. It's like, no, literally, my sink looks like a disaster because I was responsible today. Give your boy a break. All right, the ingredients are assembled. Let's put this thing together. Here's how I usually do it. I like this not only because it's a sneaky way to get myself to eat more vegetables, but because the leftovers are very easy to throw together and microwave throughout the week. So we get ourselves a big bowl. We're going to start by putting down a bed of rice. Now, the carbs for this are a mix of rice and tortilla chips, so you don't have to go too hard with either one, right? Yeah, I got to get some more rice soon. I am going to go through it. Then we can take our tortilla chips, even our chips that otherwise would have been discarded, crumble them in there. We get our crunchies. This is kind of like, I feel like it's like croutons in a salad, you know? Yes. Then we'll do our base, our vegetable base, which for me, you already know, is spinach. See, when I was a kid, I used to think that spinach was absolutely disgusting. And do you know why? Because my only experience with spinach was canned spinach. Are you serious right now with canned spinach? That stuff looks like something a cow regurgitated. And whose idea was it to can a leaf? I understand canning, like, cut peaches or chicken cubes in water, or tuna. I understand canning those things, but who cans a leaf? Like, what kind of 1945 post-Depression era Cold War idea is it to like look at a bunch of these leaves and say, you know what? I bet if we wilt these down into the form of baby food and seal it tightly in an aluminum can, we'll want to eat this later on. And then there's the whole PR stunt that is Popeye. Like, clearly they couldn't get it off the shelves fast enough because they had to structure an entire cartoon around getting kids to want to eat it, using masculine narrative about saving the girl and it giving you muscles. Spinach is not a source of protein that I'm aware of. And that guy's workout routine had to be crazy anyway, because he was all forearm and no bicep until he ate the spinach and then, like, you know, gained an upper body. But why were his forearms that big? Like, what did he do? Like, was he just daily wrestling with a stress ball? He was all grip strength all the time? I have questions. Popeye. I'm telling you, dude, it's traumatizing. It took me years to realize spinach is actually good. It's a leaf. It's a plant. Like, I'll eat a leaf, but I have no interest in eating the alkali, spoiled tasting refuse of a leaf that has been, and I get it, like canned spinach, right? But get the other canned things too. Okay, so we put our spinach in here. We have put our we got a bed of rice, tortilla chips, spinach. I just dropped in some broth, these pre-sliced carrots. I used to just get whole carrots. Here's basic Caucasian ranch dressing. There's no way of saying your basic ranch dressing and Cholula hot sauce. And you just kind of crisscross the two. A cup of spinach has about 1 gram of protein, Abby says. If he ate 100 cups of spinach per day, he would get about 100 grams of protein. Yeah, the risk to return ratio on that is not worth it. All the knots he was tying. Okay, Jay Fitz, that actually makes sense, right? Because Popeye was a sailor man, right? He was a sailor, so arguably he did tie a lot of knots. So I guess he was on knot duty all the time. Maybe that's legitimately where the forearm design came from. Because there had to be some intentionality behind the character design, right? I actually think that tracks. I think you figured it out. You cracked the code. Anyone else is glitching? No, Sam just does that. Yeah, I teleport very small distances at a time, usually 6 to 12 inches. It's like that movie Jumper, but away. And truly do. I sometimes think it has to do with the stream length a little bit.